Okay, so we can move from M&R over to MLS. So under the material logistics specialist articles, we have tentative agreements, same as before. And a lot of the articles that are open are similar to what the mechanic and related were, but we'll start with recognition and scope.
Yeah, so on scope, it's fairly simple. You know, the discussions at the table have been, we need to know where M&R is for us to conclude where MLS fits into that equation. And that scope will mirror, it won't be exactly the same, but it will mirror along the same lines as our M&R, meaning the mechanic and related work groups.
We have accomplished a lot of work in stores on the common issues and classifications for stores. We have laid out all of the work assignments, and that is attached to scope. But that scope, we have not had much discussion, and it's very important from the MLS perspective, not only for matching MLS where we have AMTs in the line, but you know, there's an issue where on one side the GSC parts room is vended out, on one side the stock clerks handle that. We have off-site facilities that we need to make sure are manned. We have distribution centers located in the base, and that is all revolved around MLS scope, and we have to get into that issue because we're not going to resolve all these other issues without making sure MLS or any other, including fleet service, gets what they rightfully deserve.
Okay, right from scope into classifications.
On MLS. Classifications, I think the same issue is open there with the crew chief. I think that's the only issue. We did spend a lot of time with the representatives from the stores group, Mike Bush and Mark Huffman, and we laid out classifications similar to how we laid out classifications for fleet. And really the only difference in that proposal is the crew chief, and then tying that to scope and then capturing the exact work and locations they have. So if we can resolve those issues, I think we'll be okay.
All right, next will be Article 16, compensation for MLS.
Yeah, so compensation is another interesting one with the company. Again, there's a ratified agreement at Southwest that was recently done. Again, when it comes to the MLS group, no different than anyone else. We expect that the company would compare them to the industry, whoever's best, put that in there, and then have a pay component. Again, that accounts for what profit sharing might be in those other components, what their premiums might be, so on and so forth. Thus far, they haven't really shown us what they're looking at or outside of what they put on the table in their presentation. But again, that piece of the bargaining, as Tom said, based on what the company said, needs to be examined and reviewed, compared, and then put together as obviously a tentative agreement. And each one may be a little bit different based around what contract is the superior one out there.
Shift definition and differential, the company's proposal. There's some outstanding issues there.
Yeah, and again, for stores, for some reason they put that into its own article, I believe, when it's all, the contracts are tied together. The shift differential pay part of it would be in compensation, and then the hours and when you would get that would be probably tied into hours or service or something along those lines. But the fact of the matter there again is our expectation is to get the best shift differential in the industry. And again, this is a conversation that needs to happen at the bargaining table with the company, doing a comparison of what other groups have.
Vacation, I assume, is a similar issue, but we might as well hit it again for MLS.
Well, it is a similar issue, but if you recall, the legacy TW folks through bankruptcy have 6 weeks today, and that's what the company is using to drive the 6 week with the scale for everyone else. Our proposal again is 7 weeks, and that would apply to everyone, including MLS. So just make note of that.
Yeah, and just a comment to Tom's point on that, the 6 weeks and where you get it is critical. If you compare to, in this case, United, and they're getting it that much earlier, that's a lot of compensation that we're missing, time off compensation that we're missing out for. And again, this is a dialogue at the table that the company just has refused to engage in.
Okay, also open in the MLS book is Article 25-1, leave of absence chart.
To be honest with you, we spent a lot of time on the leave of absence chart. That is common for all of the groups. There's only two small differences with fleet service, and that is how long you accrue pay while you're on a leave. The big difference and the only open issue left is how I travel while on medical leave. And the company wants it to be company policy. The current contract on one side says you can travel unlimited for medical treatments, and the company wants to stick with the company policy. We have language that said the company policy on data signing cannot be changed, so if we keep that language, it won't be an issue. If we lose that language and agree to company policy, then we could be losing something, so really that is the difference with the chart.
Okay, and then Article 26 is limited duty. There's still open items there as well.
Yeah, and again, this just goes back to the company and not having it together. Limited duty for stores has been closed, or MLS has been closed, along with every other work group, so not sure why they got it counted that way. Similar to the, I believe, 25.1 for the LOA chart. You know, this is again, them going and creating something on their own that clearly that LOA chart will apply, you know, across the groups. Everybody will have one. So each book should have a 25.1 identified. But to your point on that, John, that's closed. I'll verify that.